And good Thursday evening, basketball fans, and welcome. And welcome to a special episode of Thursday Night Basketball in the Heartland, live on the NFHS network. Why is this game so special, you might ask? Easy. Because the high school basketball games that matter the most are played in early to mid-March every year. And every year there are 8 5A boys and 8 5A girls teams heading toward the Kansas Crossroads here in Emporia. There are 16 teams, all with the same dream. We've seen 8 of the girls teams and 6 of the 8 boys teams over the past day and a half. And we're moments away from seeing the final 2 go to battle and one step closer to bringing home the hardware that reads state champions. Well, the losers, it's going to make for a long, reflective bus ride home. The Trojans from Andover High would love nothing more than to extend their season tonight with a win over the Braves of Bonner Springs. And for Andover, who sends not only the boys team but also the girls team from Andover High to championship week, they come into tonight's contest winners of 11 in a row. In fact, they have not lost at all in 2025. It's been 86 days since he last fell. In that game, it was to top seed in the West Bracket, Great Bend. Well, before that, the 2 losses that Andover has was at the beginning of the season to 2 of the perennial powers in Kansas, that being Derby and McPherson. Well, Bonner Springs comes in as the occasional visitor, having not been to a state championship week since 2019. But the Braves have senior leadership and playmakers at each position. Some would say they are not as battle-tested in the Frontier League, but don't tell that to the Braves because they are ready. Dialed in to make a statement tonight and return the program to the glory days of yesteryear. But do the Braves have enough arrows in their quiver to take down the Trojans? Or will it be Andover behind one of the most experienced and fundamentally sound teams that you will see throughout championship week? Well, friends, all I know is this. And one of the more intriguing games of the day, here in Emporia, the Trojans and the Braves are going to go and play until that final buzzer horn triggers. And we're here for all of it. And guess what? You are going to have a front row seat to all the action all night long on your home for champions, and that is the NFHS Network. 4 up, 3 down on today's slate of opening quarterfinal action games here in Emporia. 4th and final game, moments away from tip-off. Introductions for both teams being made by the PA announcer, and you will hear plenty of the PA announcer throughout this game. The loud and boisterous pipes of the gentleman, and sometimes that'll probably drown out my voice, which is probably very, it's a good thing for a lot of our listeners to know that I won't be, or that somebody will be talking over me. I'm not talking about you, Darren Keelan, my great producer up here on top. We got Mr. Day, Mr. Josh Day, running the camera down below. Got a whole cadre back at the mothership at 810 Varsity. Shout out to Nolan and Reese as well. First for the Bonner Springs Braves, their starting lineup. First, number 2, Prince Donnell. He's a 5'8". He's only a sophomore. Number 11 is DeAndre Morrison, a 6'1" senior. Corey Wolf, he's a 6'2", but he's only a junior wearing the number 15. Jason Jones wears a 24 number, the 24, 6'2", and he's a junior. And Kellen Groover, 6'2", he's a junior as well. As I mentioned earlier, they're making their first state appearance since 2019, but they're 14th overall in program history. In fact, Bonner Springs won the state title back in 1984, beating Parsons, believe it or not, in Class 5A by 1 point, 56-55 in the championship game. Now, that's the only state title in the program's history. There have only been 2 other semifinal appearances, both back into the 1970s. Head coach Drew Groover has led 3 other programs to the state tournament in his coaching career, Liberal, Winfield, and Chapman. And this is in his first year at Bonner Springs. For coaching Chapman, shout out Chance Lebo this past season. Son Kellen is the Braves' leading scorer. Comes in with 16.3 game, but he also does it in other areas. 94 assists, 40 steals, and 20 blocks on the year. For the Trojans of Andover, well, what's old is new again. You're going to hear so many familiar names like that young man right there. First name Josh, last name Kim. He wears the number 1, and he is number 1 with a bullet for this Trojan team. Had the opportunity to watch that young man over the years, and he is a delight. Plays the game with that fundamentally strong approach that I mentioned in the pregame. He passes well, he shoots well, he has a vision that not many do. We just saw Corbin Johnson on the court from Cape and Mount Carmel, and he's one of those players as well. The game kind of slows down for him. Owen Alman, he is a senior guard coming in at 6 foot even, wearing the number 3. And number 15, who's being introduced right now, he's the senior, he's the center, the number 5 on the floor, but number 15 on his jersey, a big 6'5" fella. For Coach Martin Shetler. And if you're familiar with Kansas high school basketball, you're going to know that name either through Coach Shetler or a couple of his kids. Eli, of course, who was a standout player for his dad over the years. He's taken his talents to the next level. But I believe he's now at Drake, if I'm not mistaken, and his sister down at Oral Roberts University. So shout out to them if they're watching. I'm sure they are, along with a couple thousand of our closest friends. Whether you're curled up on a couch in front of a TV or watching this game on your internet device of choice, listening, driving down the road, we're glad you're part of this journey with us. Final day. We've had 3 fantastic games so far. We expect nothing less for the nightcap here. Moments away from tipping off between Andover, the 3 seed, and the number 6 Bonner Springs Braves. Andover 19-3, as I mentioned, 86 days since their last loss. Bonner Springs 18-4, coming out of the Frontier League. Another team out of the Frontier League, Baldwin. Don't know if you saw the highlights from yesterday's games in 4A action. an absolute heartbreaker at the hands of Mr. Pyle and McPherson, the team, one of the teams that beat this Andover squad in the first couple of games this season. But we are underway. Josh Kim, I thought he had an opportunity to just bring it down with his palm, but instead it's going to be the Braves coming out, firing first. Almost an errant pass, but they do get it back. That's Prince Donnell. Had an opportunity to hear from a number of these student athletes on both teams out of the past week, and there's Mr. Groover, but he can't get it to go, but a good look. He'll have plenty of those throughout the evening. Here's Kim and the Trojans pushing it up. He handles the ball with ease. Look at him. He kind of floats in the air. And is appropriate for Emporia State. He stings it home, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a Trojan. Doesn't quite work, but we'll work on that. 2-0. Trojans up top, early minutes of the first quarter. And despite good effort under the basket, it's going to go off a Brave and back into the hands of a Trojan, who have a 2-0 lead. 7-11 left in the first. Ringing it up is Owen Alman. The 6-foot senior guard played a lot of basketball for Coach Shetler, and he's got a beautiful looking shot. That's his first points of the game, and the Trojans are up 4-0. Watch a little bit of the Braves film. They do better when they have an opportunity. In fact, if I did the math right, if they get out to a 6-0 lead, I believe that they are undefeated on the season. Well, that's not going to happen tonight, whether or not they can rebound here. There's Kim from long distance, and he's got a beautiful shot. Shades of Brooke Walker from years past on the girls' team. What a beautiful looking shot that young man has. And he's got the efforts and the drive to match. Quick foul is going to be an out-of-bounds play. Slob play. As in sideline out of bounds, Darren. Don't look at me like that. I'm not calling you slob, but we can talk about that at halftime. 7-0 Trojans. Braves looking for the first points of the game. Prince Donnell, the 5'8". He's only a sophomore. Takes good care of the ball. There's Groover, top of the key. Thought about going right. He does. He forces his way, splits the defenders up, loses the handle. It's going to go back to the Trojans. And the Trojans are rolling so far, less than 2 minutes into the first quarter. They're protecting a 7-0 lead. Trojans coming out with an aggressive. They do such a good job fundamentally. And I know that's kind of a throwback thing to say in today's day and age. Everybody's talking about the run and the gun and getting up and down the court as fast as possible. But this Andover team, you look at them, like when they set the screens, they set it the right way. Those bounce passes are sure. That one almost kind of the jinx, I guess, the broadcaster jinx. Kind of a little indecision, a little analysis paralysis perhaps on that young man. And Griffin Hand, if you're familiar with the girls team, might recognize that last name. And we're going to see the Andover girls. You're going to see them take on Topeka Seaman tomorrow at 6 o'clock. More on them a little bit later. But right now, Trojans 7-0 over the Braves still. Looking for their first points, and it might come at the hand of Mr. Groover. A little bit off the mark, but it's going to stay in possession of the Braves. 5:32 left in the first. Baseline, out-of-bounds play coming up. They like to do the 0-1-4, but a little bit different formation coming out of this way. No, I think that might have been a little confusion. Somebody zigged when they should have zagged, and a beautiful pass ahead off of the glass, and that is Walker McClellan, the junior, the 6'4" junior, and he plays that kind of that wing, that hybrid position, and he does it well. 9-0 Trojans. It's all Trojans early on here in Emporia. Here's Kim going inside the lane, put him on spin cycle, and that's an even better pass. How about Josh Kim? It's been the Josh Kim show. All Trojans, 5:03 left in the first. Braves still looking for the first basket. 11-0 in favor of Andover. We'll be right back.
It always starts with community, customers, employees. Capital Federal, True Blue for over 100.
11-0 Trojans, 5 minutes even left in the first. That's right, folks. If you're just tuning in, you see 11-0 this early in the first quarter. You think, how on earth did that happen? And that fundamentally sound defense, offense being run to perfection. Coach Shetler, for one of the first times, gets out of his seat. No adjustments. They're just back to the same defensive philosophy. And there, for the first time tonight, couldn't have come at a better time for Jaden Jones and the Braves. Gets the Braves on the board. It's 11-2. Jones going to go to the line to try to get three the old-fashioned way. Jaden Jones, the 6'4" freshman, and he's got somewhat of an unconventional-looking shot. But watch him on film. Somehow he gets it to work. Here's Griffin Hand. Around the horn up top. Whole cadre of, or whole legion of Trojans getting ready to check into the game, and one Brave as well. At the 4:19, 4:18, there's Kim popping the three again, a little bit too ambitious off the back iron. Unforgiving is that spot of the rim. There's Groover, passed up a shot, kicked it back out to Jason Jones, the 6'2" junior, who averages 12 a game. He'll certainly have an opportunity to get his shots off. Coach Groover, following that timeout, a couple of minor adjustments, and that's the way you do it. When you have a defender off balance like that, you go at him until you hear that whistle. You hope you don't get an offensive foul on you, but a great effort by Jason Jones. And he makes the first. Braves now with three. Still averaging less than a point a minute here at the 3:48 mark left in the first quarter. And 3 team fouls against the Trojans so far. And more importantly, that is the second foul on Will Baker. So presumably, Mr. Baker is going to have an extended sit down on the bench with the coaching staff, possibly for the rest of this half. And the defensive pressure coming out to meet the Trojans a little bit more aggressively than they did to start the game. So far, it's paying off, no foul. They're going to say last touch by the Trojans. Errant pass benefits the Braves, and they could use all that beneficial, the beneficial misplay. What was that old song? I don't remember. But this isn't music trivia. This is championship basketball. 11-4 Trojans over the Braves. Here's Kellen Groover looking for his first points of the game. Leading scorer for Bonner Springs with 16 a game. Lost the handle, taking it away. Walker McClellan again. And dueling turnovers. Beautiful bounce pass to the freshman. Up and in. Jaden Jones slams it down. I'm going through puberty, and the Bonner Springs section is on their feet. Had a little pneumonia early this week, so. Beg your pardon. All right, here's Ezekiel McCaskill. Big Zeke, he's a 6-foot guard. He averages a couple points, but also 4 rebounds, a couple of assists. Kind of that prototypical utility player that you so often see with this Trojan team. Now let's see what the blob play is for the Trojans, throwing it in. Well, that's nice and simple. Coming around is Kim looking for a shot. They had a double screen potentially set up, might have missed it. Little miscommunication, one of the few times, but Kim down in the short corner. Boy, he's got a quick first step. Kicks it back outside of the left wing, no good, going the other way. Here's Prince Donnell. Going to his right this time, backing it out to the freshman, and that unconventional shot almost goes in. You look at it, and as kind of an old school purist myself, you think kind of that 90-degree, you follow through, but I've seen him in practice, and he can drain them 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. As long as it works for him. Braves getting ready to check a couple of new Braves into the game. Here's McCaskill fighting off the defense, kicking it out to the left corner. No good. And I believe that's going to be 3 shots from the stripe for Paul Evans. And that is the first foul against Corey Rolfe, the 6'2" junior. Paul Evans shooting over 80% from the line second half of the season. And a very methodical approach, and you can see why. That's a very good-looking stroke. Good balance, extension on the arm. There's 2 of 3. One more for the old trifecta. I guess you really can't say it's old, too old, because three-point line's only been around for something years. And 3 for 3 is Paul Evans. Right on target, his season average, well over 80. 1:42 left in the first. Trojans 14, Braves 6. Here in Emporia, there's some good defense. Using the 6th man to perfection. And a great hustle by Paul Evans to isolate his defender, the man that he's guarding at least, right in front of the Andover bench. Into the game now is Jalen Lee, the 5'7" senior. Getting some quality action here in the first quarter with his Trojans up by 8. Long cross-court pass, trying to turn over the defense. Back up top, Zico McCaskill for 3. He got it. Zeke McCaskill only averages 2 a game, but he's got 3 right there on one shot. And the Trojans have 11 more than the Braves. 104-103 left in the first. There's the freshman Jones. Going to back it out, give it to Corey Rolfe from the elbow. And you got to think that Coach Groover is going to try to get in the younger Groover a little bit more into the game plan. But a great job by Coach Shetler in scheming the defense, and they're doing a great job of trapping number 45 and his 16 points a game. Couple of substitutions in is Jackson Nez. Now he's been hobbled just a little bit. He's had an injury. I believe it's an MCL, but then he also sprained his ankle a few days ago. And so far, not showing any ill effects. But I can imagine that Coach Groover going to go a little bit easy on his junior shooter. Look at that. What kind of a move was it? Now, who taught Paul Evans a move like that? That's next level. Paul Evans getting it done. He averages 8 a year. He's well over halfway. The freshman battling inside. Jaden Jones has certainly been the spark to try to plug the Trojan. It's kind of a deluge right now. The water coming in. Trojans up by 11. Final 5 seconds of the first quarter. Kim, step back. A little bit too much, and that's going to do it for the first quarter. 8 minutes in the books. We got 24 more for you. We are live from Emporia. Near home for championships, that is NFHS Network. We will be right back. One quarter in the books, 19-8. First quarter was all Trojans for the opening 4.5 minutes. Jumped out to an 11-0 lead. Braves started to claw their way back, hit a couple of key shots. But more importantly, the defense did step up a little bit for the final half of the first quarter. Braves are meeting their opposition a little bit closer to the midcourt line. And that's where they're going to throw it in, are the Trojans with an 11-point lead. Start at quarter number 2, Josh Kim, one of the stars of that first quarter. His hot shooting hand, one of the top percentage shooters in the state of Kansas. You can see why. Stroke that's been perfected over the months and years. That young man has had an opportunity to go to the gym and in the driveway and wherever there's a hoop, and he's got a ball. Still opening 20 seconds. There's Kim with a little cutter inside. And a quick foul. I think they're going to, I don't know exactly, but I think maybe Prince Donnell. There it is. Prince's first foul of the game for the 5'8" sophomore. Good look inside for Paul Evans. Paul Evans, he's only 5'10", but I guess nobody told him that. These shades of Eli Shetler from years past. And a rare miss by Andover, shooting over 65% from the field after one quarter of play. Conversely, the Braves of Bonner Springs shooting 23%. That's your difference in the game so far, at least on the scoreboard. Both teams laying out, trying to extend their season. There's Bonner pulling up his dribble. It's Jason Jones. Thought he had someone to go to in a cut, but nobody there. And now is about the time that I start getting itchy, thinking, okay, how much time's left on the shot clock? For those of you that have watched high school basketball in Kansas throughout the year, you're familiar with the shot clock. Well, it was an optional thing for the leagues throughout the state, and most did, but in the postseason, it is not in play. But keeping that ball in play, good hustle by Corey Rolfe, keeping it alive for the Braves. Still down by 19 is Bonner Springs, 6:15, 6:14 left before halftime. Setting up the offense again. Groover from the short corner gives up the shot. There's a nice little floater. It might have been a travel. No, they're going to say a foul on the arm. That's going to be the second team foul against the Trojans. Only the first foul for Paul Evans. And at the line is Corey Rolfe. Coach Heather is having a word with the official on the far side. Don't know that he necessarily agreed with that last call. Here's Walker McClellan walking it up. There's Kim running it to the basket. He's going to go and take the shot if they're going to give it to him. And I love that. That's a good, strong play by number 1, Josh Kim. He follows his shot rather than to put it back on the ground. He goes strong with it back up to the hoop. Can't get that to connect, but he sticks with it. And following the foul, it's still going to stay in possession of Andover. And Jaden Jones, all 6'4" of him, picks up his first foul. That is the second foul this quarter against Bonner Springs. A little turnaround, how about that? A little Bill Walton-esque for the big fella, Walker McClellan. He averages around 10 a game. He's not quite halfway there, but certainly on the way. And Bonner Springs just struggling, and there they are again, trapping number 45, the leading scorer for Bonner Springs. And there he is for the first time tonight. Couldn't have come at a better time. That might get the 6'2" junior, Kellen Groover, going. Certainly got to be a relief. But credit the Andover defense. And trying to match him toe for toe is the Brave defense, but they let him get through into the lane, fade away from 8. He got it. That's a nice soft touch for the young man, Walker McClellan. Halfway to a season average of 10. And the Trojans back up by 12 Biggest lead of the game for Andover. And I'm going to say, based on the body language of the Andover bench, they respectfully disagree. Some would challenge that call. Some would say, maybe not. And I think they're wearing blue in those beautiful blue and white striped warm-up jersey pants. Love it. We've seen that a couple of times this weekend. Highland Park wearing their kind of that Christmas tree look, the red, the white, and the green. The Spring Hill girls, I think they came in sporting kind of that purple and gold. But nobody does it quite like Indiana basketball. Stand by. As I was looking at my sheet, I look up. And no shot lane violation? I don't know. Where's David Trimble, the replay machine when you need him? Well, he'll be here Saturday for the finals. One of these two teams trying to extend their season and earn their way into the finals. Coming around is McClellan again inside the lane. He gives it up to Jalen Lee for three. No good. Here come, ooh, that was close. But here come the Braves. Again, struggling to make anything happen inside. And an errant pass finds the hands of a waiting Trojan. Floater. Little teardrop in the lane. 25-11. 14-point spread. And Coach Gruber says he has seen enough. Frustration abounds over on the right sideline. And you can't blame Coach Gruber. His team's down by 14 and a world of hurt. Trojans rolling. 4:03 left before halftime. We'll be right back live in Emporia. .403 left before halftime. Two team fouls each for the Trojans and Braves. Trojans up by 14. Both of these teams playing for the right to face off with the defending 5A state champs. That's Cape and Mount Carmel, easy winners over Topeka West. And the game before this one, in the top half of the bracket, it was Highland Park over Andover Central, 65-56, in a game that was a lot closer than that score indicates. And Piper over Shawnee Heights, a game that was within two after three quarters, 70-52 for the Pirates. So it's Highland Park and Piper facing off, and there's Grover. Third and fourth points, and the last minute and 15 seconds for Kellen Groover. A good job at that timeout, scheming up something by Coach Groover to get his son more involved. That is just a lethal play. Josh Kim gets sportsmanship right there. So he hustles back. These Andover Trojans, they were caught flat-footed a little bit of time. Are you kidding me? Stuff like me going through a Chinese buffet. Josh Kim, my goodness. He's 6'3", but again, nobody told him that. Just a delight. Fantastic young man. He, along with some of his teammates, as I mentioned earlier, there's Groover, a long three. Got it to go. Groover has 7. Perfect time. Trying to cut the lead going into halftime. It's down to 11. But Andover with the ball, and look at that passing. And that little Laker cut coming through, waiting for a screen, but he says, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and back my defender down. Instead, he's going to back him up top. It's top of the key for McClellan, in trouble. Defense stepping up for the Braves, following that big three by Groover. Can it turn the tide? There's a nice kick out by Cam. The big fella, Walker McClellan, drains another three of this from the left corner. And the Trojans are 30 points. The Braves are 16. Shake that up and a bucket poured out. That means Trojans up by 14 until that shot, make it 12. 2:15, 2:14 before half. There's Kim waiting for a screen, doesn't need it, behind the back. Look at the handles. But again, good defensive pressure. But that cutter through didn't get any backside help until Groover came over. And a quick foul. Much to the chagrin of those wearing the black and orange on the far sideline. Braves now with 3 team fouls, 2-minute mark. Owen Allman. He makes it look easy, but I can tell you that is not an easy shot to pull off. So you got to have some quicks. You got to be able to get that ball up before the defender sees what you're doing and gets a big mid in the way. There's Groover slicing and dicing through the defense. Back to a 12-point spread for the Trojans. Groover now with double digits. Big second quarter for the junior. Same last name as his head coach father. What do you know about that? Now there's the next level move. Having fun out there is Corey Rolfe. He made that look way too easy. As Bonner Springs found a potential weakness into this defense of the Trojans. We'll see what they do on this next possession. They're going to slow it down a little bit. Coach tapping his head, calling out the play, the final minute of the first half. 32-22. Bonner would love to get this into single digits, possibly down to a 3-possession game. There's a long throw. Are you kidding me? A little bit ambitious. Might have forced that one rather than trying to work it inside. And I know that Kellen Groover is just trying to make a play for his team. The junior standout, mentioned in the pregame, leading scorer at just over 16 a game, but he also has 94 assists, 40 steals, and 20 blocks coming into this game. Between Groover and the brothers Jones, Jaden and Jason, responsible for 90% of the offense for Bonner. Final 20 seconds of the first half. Andover content to let this roll. Probably go right around the 10-second mark. And there's Kim. You know he wants it. Sizing up the defense, trying to find out what they're going to take him behind the back and off screen. Running out of time, going to have to let it go. A little bit too short, did not have a chance. Trojans going to the locker room, protecting a 10-point lead. 32-22, Andover or Bonner Springs. In the fourth and final game, quarterfinal action here live on the NFHS Network from beautiful Emporia, Kansas. We'll be back in about 8 minutes with first half stats and a little bit more preview of tomorrow's games right here live. We'll be right back.
It always starts with community, customers, employees. Capital Federal, True Blue for over 125 years.
And welcome back in. 2.5 minutes so we get things going in the second half. Trojans leading going into the break 32-22. A couple of first half stats and more. First, for the Braves, well, there's not a lot of highlight, I can tell you that. They started shooting a little bit better in the second quarter. They were 6 for 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc. But for the game, they're still right around 39%. On the other side for the Trojans, well, you know, when the shots are falling, they just keep going in. For the game, collectively, Andover shooting over 52%. And would you believe in the second quarter, they had a little bit of cool off, only 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. But they are 3 of 10 for the game. And from the free throw line, Andover is perfect, but Bonner Springs struggling at 50% for the game. Leading all Bonner Springs scores, no surprise. Kellen Groover, he has 9. Jason Jones with 4. Jaden Jones with 6. And Corey Rolfe with 3. Total of 7 turnovers in the first half for Bonner to 3 for Andover. Leading all Andover scores, of course, no surprise, Josh Kim. He has 9 points, couple of assists. He's got 4 rebounds. He's getting it done on both ends of the floor. Coming in with 8 points is number 55, Zeke McCaskill. What a game he's having. He's also got a steal. Walker McClellan, he's got 4 points, 5 for Paul Evans, and 2 apiece for Owen Allman, Joe Baker, and Griffin Hand. Add those all together, you get 32 for Andover and 22 for Bonner Springs. Only 27 collectively scored in each period. Total of 55 so far. Well below the season average for both of these squads. Andover averaging nearly 70 points a game, giving up right around 50. You can see why. They are explosive when they get things a humming. When they get it fine-tuned, set the timing just right on that engine, she's going to purr. And the possession arrow points in favor of Bonner Springs, who's going to be going left to right on your screen. Sideline inbounds play, and we are back in action here in Emporia. Bonner trying to make up 10 points in a hurry, and that's a good way to start. But take it away in midair. And hey, how about that intensity? Got to connect and convert those shots, though, in order to have a chance. Talk about a sloppy way to start a third quarter play. Not sure that we've seen something so skittish here, and that's going to be before the travel. I think Corey Rolfe might have breathed a little bit sigh of relief. sure he thought the whistle was going to say, hey, you took one too many steps when you shouldn't have. Out goes Will Baker. He's going to have a seat on the sideline for Coach Shetler and crew. Back in, Walker McClellan. Josh Kim, Ezekiel McCaskill, beg your pardon. Owen Allman as well. And that's trouble, but great hustle by the Braves, and that was an unnecessary foul, and he knows it. Steve McCaskill, he just laid his big hand on the arm. He laid the arm right on DeAndre Morrison. DeAndre Morrison a little bit quiet in the first half. He only averages around 4 a game, but he also brings in around 5 assists. So his presence felt in other areas of this game, kind of part of the oil that lubricates the engine. Here's a nice drive from 10 out, try to use the glass, a little bit shy. Trojans, 7:02 left in the third. With an opportunity, you're going to leave the big guy open. He's going to dribble right by you. But instead, he's going to back it out, look for a little bit of help. Kind of get the sense based on the personnel and the alignment. Well, I was just getting ready to say it looks like they might try to exploit a weakness on the inside against Bonner Springs. But when you have hot shooting hands like that, are you kidding me? Got to keep shooting out there until they take it away. Bonner trying to go tit for tat, match that shot. They've just been unable to string together a couple of consecutive shots. And there on this possession, before any foul is called, they do call the travel. Back into the contest is Jaden Jones, the big fella, the freshman with those green shoes. See him a mile away. Does double duty on the road crew with shoes like that. Fantastic, my man. It's a bright shoe lover myself. High off the glass. Are you kidding me? Switch. That's a next level kind of shot by Ezekiel McCaskill. Started with his right, went to the left in midair, found the bottom of the cylinder. Huge offensive rebound by Bonner Springs. If they're going to work their way back in, they're going to have more plays just like that. Little head fake. Take a dribble closer to the lane. Long three, Griffin hand. Too ambitious going the other way. Jason Jones splitting the defenders. He does that so well, the 6'2" junior. It's his first 2 of the second half. Jason Jones had 4 in the first. And Jaden Jones respectfully disagreeing with that call. But it matters not, because going to the line, shooting a couple is going to be Walker McClellan. And he is an 83% free throw shooter. And he has not missed, and neither has any of his teammates. And how about that, right on time? The broadcaster curse. When you start talking about something, well, other things happen. That's why I always say, you know, I sure wish I had $20 in my pocket. As I reach in here, no, there is not. But making the second one, McClellan makes it 38-24, 14-point spread, 5:27 left in the third. Winner advances to take on Cape and Mount Carmel tomorrow at a game that will be played right here at 8 o'clock. The early game between Highland Park and Piper High will take place at 4 o'clock. And in between, there's some girl action. More on that a little bit later in the broadcast. We're going to be talking about the Andover Trojan girls team, who once again making a return trip here to Emporia. Here so often, I think they're going to have their mail forwarded here every March behind Coach Hannah Alexander, beg your pardon. Good gritty play by Kim. Way to bring it in, Walker McClellan. The razzle and the pass and the dazzle with the shot. The Trojans have 40, Braves have 26. And maybe a couple extra steps. No call, the freshman inside, and they're going to get an offensive foul. And that's going to be one of those plays that Jaden Jones watches on the replay, and he's going to know right away what he did. He had the right idea, but he didn't need to lean into the defender. But you can see the frustration in the body language of these Braves, because it's not for a lack of try that they find themselves down by 14 to the number 3 ranked, or rated rather, Andover Trojans. And getting back, are you kidding me? The dunk didn't quite go down as he expected. I think some of I'm seeing some goaltend signals, some body signals from the student section, but I don't think the ball was not in the cylinder. Rejected by the back iron, just like a shot would be from the floor. A lot of moaning and groaning, I think, on both sides. Nice crowd here tonight in Emporia. Unofficially, 1,612 for this final game. It's so great to see both the Bonner fans as well as Andover showing out to support their respective teams. And to see shots like that by Josh Kim, certainly worth the price of admission. Josh Kim, that is his first shot of the second half. And he's got 12 points, and even doesn't. Over halfway through the third quarter, and Bonner still struggling to find something offensively. They would love to put a couple of baskets together, something they haven't done until the first half. It's going to stay the way of the Trojan. I believe I saw the official, yes. Standing there is Mr. McCaskill. Mr. McCaskill, he's got a full beard. And that big hair of his, I mean, he looks like he's about 34. Well, and he passed that one in like he's about 84. There's Groover. Almost lost the handle. Razzle-dazzle, can't get it to go. But almost, for the first time since early in the game, back-to-back buckets. He's an impressive young man. He's got a bright future. He's going to play somewhere at college. He's only 6'2". But he has, I don't know, this go-go gadget ability to him to kind of stretch his body, or so it seems. He's got a fantastic vertical, or he can play above the rim at times. Well, that's 3 points in a row. Can Bonner make it 4 in a row? If my math and chicken scratches are right, since the 2-minute mark left in the second quarter, and they do. 43-30. Braves down by 13, but Andover not letting off the gas. And Owen Allman, yeah, and that was the right call. And I think Mr. Allman thought, hey, did anybody see that? He's kind of looking around. You know, kind of like maybe you when you're a kid, you spill something at home and say, oh, geez, did Mom see that? Did Dad see that? We're just kind of try to clean it up real hurry. High time in the third quarter, 3:14. The screen, the roll off, he had him inside. Instead, passing it to Groover. They almost had a chance for a 6 in a row. Doesn't fall. Here's Cam pushing it up for the Trojans. Back to the same song. Different verse, but same as the first. Cam curling around. He's going to reverse it, go back inside with the cutter. He's right there. He had another good opportunity. Boy, they run that to perfection. And Kim says, I just had enough of watching you guys run around. Let me just take care of this myself. And he does. Coach Groover touching his head. Probably rubbing a little bit, frustrated as the rest of the Braves are. Punched out of bounds by Josh Kim. 2's across on the clock, left in the third. Andover 45, Bonner Springs 30. And now's a good time while I'm thinking about it. We have just a very quick break. And I had a conversation with a gentleman between games earlier today, and he said, hey, we like listening to you, but you say the score so much. I'm like, well, absolutely I do. So I got a grandfather, and my father was blind, and I hear from a lot of those, and they say, hey, a lot of those, like other things, but some of the visually impaired folks that tune in on the broadcast that are appreciative of the score. And oftentimes, I think broadcasters get a little bit too carried away, forget about the basics. And basics, that's exactly what's going to get this Bonner Springs team back into it. Should they have a chance, that's a strong drive. That's not his first rodeo. Walker McClellan kind of doing the strut for Andover. Strutting his stuff, up by 16. That is the third foul now on Corey Rolfe. 14 fouls for both Andover and Bonner Springs. Takes a couple of dribbles, bends the knee, lets her go off the back iron. Here comes Bonner. Still going with the same general approach on offense, but now a little roll. For that roll-off to work, you got to get rid of that pass a little bit faster. You kind of got to wonder if they're going to run maybe kind of that Spain look where they come up and it's kind of a double pick up top. I think they have it, but it's just Groover out there fighting for his own life. Need a little bit of help. A little ambitious on the reach for Paul Evans. Those cheerleaders from Bonner Springs, I don't know that they've been quiet the whole game. They've got spirit. Yes, they do. They've got spirit. How about you, Darren Kilo, working the board up here to perfection? This is not your first rodeo either, is it, my friend?
Nope, I've been doing this for a second now.
Absolutely you have. You're doing a great job, as is Mr. Josh Day down there on the camera. I just appreciate his great work. He's dialed in all day, and not an easy task to go 4 deep. 2 days in a row, we're halfway through championship weekend. Games start tomorrow, same time at 2 o'clock, and Groover steps in the way of the pass. And, you know, that's just an unfortunate foul, regardless of who they call it on, because it's just two competitors going hard to try to make a play for their team. But in kind of the same run where they say, tie goes to the runner. Well, in this case, the team on offense generally is favored in those 50-50 balls. And perfect on the day is Owen Allman. From the stripe. He's got one more. Trying to give him 49, and he does. 49-33, 16-point lead for the Trojans. Back to a 16-point spread, biggest of the game. Bonner, a lot of dribbling, not much passing. And here's Kim. He's going to his left, using his body. I love that play. Josh Kim, I love that. Switches his hand, goes high off the glass. Gets his backside between him and the defender, clearing enough space for an easy 2 and a +1 at the strike. That is the third foul for Mr. Groover. Now a 19-point lead for the Trojans. And Bonner Springs just still all out of sorts. And that's going to be, I believe, that's going to be 3 shots. And Owen Allman respectfully disagrees with the official. Had a couple of words for him. The official quickly saying, no, that's not what I saw, young man. So Kellen Groover at the line. He's going to be shooting 3. Trying to make it 52-36. See how quickly I did that math, Darren? He just shakes his head. It's only the second foul against Mr. Allman. Gruber steps back, trying to collect himself a little bit, frustrated as everybody else wearing black and orange. And he makes the third. 52-36. Final minute of quarter three. Josh Kim and the Trojans. Another big game out of number one. And this is a very impressive performance for the number 3 seed. But that from way downtown. He shot that from the Casey's parking lot. Are you kidding me? Doing his best Josh Kim impression. 19 points, 55-36. Both teams with 5 fouls here in the third quarter. They will reset. At the end of the quarter, no more 1-and-1s in high school basketball. Kind of an unnecessary foul by Owen Allman, just trying to make a play. But maybe play a little bit too fast and loose with the lead like they do. Coach Shetler out there, always the teacher. You talk to some of his players and you say, hey, what do you think of Coach Shetler? And never heard a player say, you know, I don't know, I just don't like this guy. You know, oftentimes, you know, he's a nice guy, he's a great coach. He'll get on you, but at the same time, he's there, more importantly, to help you learn and help you get better as opposed to trying to put you down, to build himself up. And I think you hear that throughout the coaching community as well. Final 10 seconds of the third quarter. You got to set that screen a little bit longer, but it still worked. Hey, can't argue with the results. Walker McClellan back to a 19-point spread. Trojans 57, Braves 38. 8 more to play here at Emporia. And you're watching it live and only on the NFHS Network. We will be back after this.
It always starts with community, customers, employees. Capital Federal, true blue for over 125 years.
Look at that great camera work, both by Josh Day and Darren Kilo up top. A couple of different camera shots, different angles for you today. A instant replay on Saturday. We'll have our own little razzle-dazzle up here. David Trimble making the trip down. David Trimble Productions, Pancake Media. Join us here on the broadcast. For all 4 games now. As mentioned in the pregame, the loser, well, it's going to be a long bus ride home. Their season will end tonight, and the Braves, well, they got 7:54 to try to make something happen, and there's a start. They say, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time, and in this case for Bonner Springs, 1 bucket at a time, but you got to get back on defense. Making a pay. Will Baker, how did he get back down the court so fast? Is what the Braves are wondering right now. A smack of the hands together. Corey Rolfe says, come on now. One of those have to go in. But looking at the body language of this Brave team, you kind of got to wonder whether or not they have that fire at this point. Kind of a deflated look. Here's Josh Kim. Heard from a number of the Andover players and as well as Bonner Springs throughout earlier in championship week. Josh Kim being one of them. It's a pretty looking shot, little teardrop, one arm. Great follow. That's just a good hustle play. No other way around it. Biggest lead of the game for Andover, 61-40. 6:49, 6:48 left. There's Jackson Nez sporting the knee brace. That's a good-looking play. That's one of those plays that, and really, let's be clear, it's a 19-point lead for the Trojans. And with the offensive struggles that Bonner Springs has had tonight, you kind of get the feeling that maybe Coach Groover is kind of resolved to, yes, playing to win tonight clearly, but at the same time looking forward to the future with some of his underclass players, because he has a number of them. On the entire roster, there are only 3 rostered seniors, and DeAndre Morrison is really the only one that we have seen have considerable playing time. So it's certainly not inconceivable that these Braves are going to be finding their way back here next year. So they certainly have a roster full of talent. Some of those earlier shots, well, if they would have fallen, big ifs. As Captain Obvious would say, well, if they would have made more shots, the score would have been closer. Well, yeah, that's true. That is very true. It's true. Oh, Allman, like going through a maze out there. Left and right, back and forth. Back and to the left. Back and to the left. There's Kim Shu. He had an opportunity underneath. Another ambitious shot by Griffin Hand. 5'11" junior. Griffin averages around 6 points a game. A couple of rebounds and assists. Shoots over 30 from beyond the arc. But now would be a good time to tell you about some of these student athletes. I asked them earlier in the week, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about you off of the courts. Some of your likes, your dislikes. What do you do for fun? Tell us about one of your great memories playing basketball. And I was fortunate enough to hear from both teams, a number of student athletes. That's someone going to keep your eye on for the remainder of this game, certainly. Looking forward to next year. Coach Groover's got to be excited about what he's going to be bringing back. Coach Groover, no stranger to state championships. Took the Liberal boys to the state tournament in 2008, 9, and 12. Winfield in 2014, and the girls of Chapman. Shout out Chance Lebo in 2020. And some would argue, and that's the Trojans not really happy with that call, but it's 61-45, and that's going to be the final foul. On Will Baker. So he's going to be sitting for the rest of this game. Trojans with 2 team fouls, Braves with none. 5-16, 5-15. Look, the Braves are not out of this. They have a long way to go, but if they can string 2 or 3 possessions together, get 6, maybe 7 points, I mean, that's going to change the complexity of this game, and that is what they've been unable to do tonight. Credit the Andover defense for making that a reality. Freshman in trouble in the corner. I think they're going to get together. The crowd doing a little bit of lobbying, and that's what they do. The good officials, if they don't have a clear sight to it, they're going to get together, have a little conference. We talk about where they're going to go for supper after the game. But in all seriousness, no, that's exactly what they need to do. And to be able to officiate a state tournament game, got to be some of the best of the best. And a good shot by Groover. Does not go again. Into the front court now are the Trojans behind Owen Allman and company. Hand to McCaskill up top. Bonner still playing that defense, meeting them up a little bit closer as they cross into the front court. That's helped him somewhat, but they haven't been quick enough to stop Josh Kilm. And, kind of that backside help just hasn't been there majority of the game. Speaking of Josh Kim at the line, he's one of those student athletes that I talked with in this past week. And one of the questions I asked, hey, what's your best basketball memory? And he says that's pretty easy. Winning the 5A state championship his sophomore year, and he played an integral role in that game and on that team. Shout out B.J. Reddick. And one of the unique qualities about Josh Kim, and he says, and I quote, "I'm a professional card collector." At least according to himself. He thinks a professional card collector. Now, I didn't get a chance to ask him what kind of cards, whether they're Pokemon, playing cards. I don't know. For those of you that know Josh, we'll certainly ask him about that. He said he's going to be attending Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, one of the finest academic institutions in the Midwest. Beautiful campus in St. Louis. He said that his cousin is a pro basketball player in Japan. No shock there. Certainly runs to the family. Groover for three. And Coach Groover saying, hey, let's do a little full court pressure. Maybe a little trap, and they do. And almost picking it up. Ooh. I think they're going to have to call. No foul. No foul. That's a good no call. You know, once again, a couple of players just going hard after the ball. 63-48 at about the halfway mark in quarter four. Josh Kim has been the AVCTL Division II MVP and career leader in assists at Andover. It's a record that he might hang on to for a little while. Now, I love that play. Sending in both directions. Kind of like that old figure eight set play. It's one of the first times I've seen that in quite some time. Now, it might have been a little miscommunication, but it sure did look pretty. Josh Kim said that his coaches, when I asked him about, hey, tell me about your coaches, and he said, I quote, "My coaches are like fathers to me. If I had to play a million times again, I'd come running to Andover to play for them one last time. I absolutely love my coaches." Well said, Joshua Kim. I love that. Fantastic young man. We're going to talk about Owen Alman next. (65-51), 3.5. Again, picked it off. Hey. Oh, Euro step. Big fell inside. The freshman lost the handle. Going to go back the other way. So many missed opportunities, errant passes. They had 7 turnovers in the first half, and they've already got that +2 here in half number 2. Not going to win too many games, not getting back on defense, and giving up between 15 and 20 turnovers. A game that Bonner Springs will certainly learn from. Final 3:11 here in the fourth. A young man with the ball, his name is Prince. David Donald. He likes to spend time with his friends. He says, love that shot. Groover. He has no quit. He doesn't understand what the word quit means, Groover. And finding the open man. And that's smart. Go ahead and back it out. 243, 242. But Prince, David Donald, says that he's got an obsession with foreign music. That's kind of his uniqueness. He's going to go into nursing after high school. He also does a little bit of track and field, plays football. He said he's got a cousin who played in the college football championship. And when asked, hey, who's the best singer or dancer on the team? Prince David Donald says, oh, it's got to be him. Okay. The announcer finishes listening to himself. There's Cam, bounce pass ahead, beautiful pass. Threading the needle. Thing of beauty. Coach, oh, we've got an injured player, and oh my. You absolutely hate to see that. And we hope he's okay. And the officials going to get together and talk a little bit. Mid-court. Well, Corey Rolfe gets a little bit of attention from the trainer and what looks potentially like just a good old cramp, a little Charlie horse. And that's good to see him getting up, and looks like he's going to be just fine as he walks over to the sideline, getting a little bit of help. And that's a sign of a player he's just balling out, Corey Rolfe. He's a junior. He'll have another opportunity at this, potentially next year. But back to Prince David Donnell. I want to tell you what he said about his coaches. Following that technical foul, as I'm reading profiles, Josh Kim at the line. And a rare miss. A couple of rare misses, but I want to read you real quick what Prince David Donnell said about his coaches, and I quote, "I want to say thank you to Coach Groover for always believing in me and trusting me in moments. Coach Davis for giving me a huge confidence boost in my game and turning me into a leader on and off the court. And lastly, Coach E for being the one. He keeps me going and always reminds me that I deserve what I have and keeping me a good-minded young man off and on the court as well." The impact the coaches have at all levels cannot be understated, but Prince David Donnell does a good job of trying to get there. Bray's trying to get to the other end, put up a little more points. Won't do it. Jaden Jones had an opportunity. He's going to go to the line, shooting a couple. Deion Cruz for Bonner Springs. He loves to fish. He's got an obsession with animals. He wants to become a marine biologist. He also plays tennis, soccer, volleyball, 7-on-7 football. He says that his sister was a D1 volleyball player, and his brother, is a college athlete for basketball. Deion Cruz, well done, my man. Ask him, hey, Deion, who's your hero? And he says, and I quote my dad, "He's shown me what it's like to become a great man." Love that quote. Kind of gets you in the feels. Being a father myself, shooting it into the paint. Walker McClellan finishes it off. There's Jaden Jones, freshman. Jaden Jones plays a little bit of Fortnite, talks to his friends in his free time. He said that one time he dropped 45 points in a 7th grade game. And they're going to get a foul on Paul Evans, I believe. And there's a little bit of chatter. And a lot of that's frustration. Jason Jones walking over, and he's kind of shaking his head. And not saying he's doing anything nefarious or trying to egg anything on. I think he was just kind of standing there as his opponent walked by. And I'd opened his mouth and said something. We don't have him mic'd up, so we don't know. Just speculating here, folks. Jaden Jones says that his dad was a high jumper in college from Mizzou, and his grandpa played basketball at Texas College in the 70s. I'm going to read you one more from Andover and try to share the rest from, so I have a feeling that unless that proverbial piano falls from the sky, it's going to be Andover advancing to the semifinals, and this will end the Bonner Springs season. Owen Wallman said his name an awful lot. One of his hobbies, he says he likes to go wake surfing. His best memory was winning state in 22 and 23 as a freshman. He said that he's pretty talented at wake surfing, and he's going to be an architectural engineer at some point in the future. Other activities, FBLA, Kids for Kids, and community service for the middle school. One of the many multi-sport overachievers that you'll hear from throughout the weekend. Final minute of this one, 74-58 is where we have it right now. Trojans just 2 points shy of their season average. Actually, they're 2 points to the good. Kim, you kind of got to wonder, in cases like this, the final 47 seconds, and up handily are the Trojans. And Coach Shetler, you just hope that maybe there's an opportunity for some of those underclass players to get some good minutes here. And I'm sure Coach Groover thinking the same thing. Hey, how do I get some of my role players in, especially the seniors? And we're going to have one right now. Javian Taylor, I beg your pardon, the 5'9" senior into the game. Well done. Hat tip to you, Coach Drew Groover. Kim is good. He had a little dry spell from the free throw line. There's Groover for three. Beautiful looking shot. Hey, strong rebound. Prince Donnell. Final 30 seconds. Let's say about DeAndre Morrison. He said that his hobby is playing TikTok or just playing, or on TikTok and playing NBA 2K. He said he's a good singer. He's going to play a little basketball in college. He's got an offer from Central Methodist University. He said that his mom's his hero because, quote, she made me into the man I am today. How about Corey Rolfe? Had some quality minutes as we see the final couple of seconds tick away. Your final score, 76-60, in favor of the Trojans of Andover, who will advance to tomorrow's semifinal match, and they will take on Cape and Mount Carmel. That is a game that you'll be able to see live and only on the NFHS Network's tip-off is set for 6 p.m. I beg your pardon, at 8 p.m., not 6. Not what I said, what I meant. They're going to take on Cape and right here at 8 p.m. And the other boys game at 4 o'clock, that's going to be between Piper, the Pirates, taking on the Scots of Highland Park. Yours truly will be on the call for both of those games. And my man Stephen Finley is going to be back for the 2 girls games, including the Andover girls, who'll be playing right before the Andover boys. So I got a feeling that the city of Andover is going to be showing out tomorrow night starting at 6 o'clock when Andover takes on Topeka Seaman, the undefeated Lady Vikes, with a record of 23-0. And in the first game at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at St. Thomas Aquinas taking on Spring Hill. Again, all of those games going to be found right here on the NFHS Network. From a great camera operator, Josh Day, and spectacular producer up top here, Darren Kilo, my name is Sean Brewer, and until tomorrow, good night from beautiful Emporia. See you tomorrow.